Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Johnson, and this is the Perpetual Chess Podcast. On Perpetual Chess, I have weekly conversations with the chess world's best players, promoters, and educators about their lives, careers, current projects, and best practices. For more information, go to perpetualchesspod.com. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Grandmaster Pontus Carlsson. Pontus is born in Colombia, grew up in Sweden, and you're beaming in from Prague. So, Pontus, you make the rounds. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot for bringing me here.
Oh, my pleasure. So, what brings you to Prague, Pontus?
Work, actually. So I've been living in Prague for a couple of years since I'm an economist. So I got a good offer. So I decided to take it, and here I am.
Not a bad place to live.
No, it's an excellent place to live. It's you have everything here, that you need. I think you have the weather is really good, which is you can say a problem with Sweden. The weather is not the best over there, but the weather here is really good, and you have very good food. And Prague is an extremely beautiful city. And if you like beer, for example, then I don't think you will find a better beer country in the world. Yeah, that was my experience in Prague. Did you have any other experience?
Not that I recall.
You didn't have the podcast then, yeah?
Right, exactly. No, it's a beautiful city. And I played some chess there. I mean, it's got a rich chess history too. So
yeah. This is also extremely well developed. And I can tell you, for example, when I was moving in here, to get my apartment, for example, there was one major condition that I had to fulfill, and that was to sign 5 autographs.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool
for the family.
That's awesome, nice.
Of the real estate agent.
Five personal autographs and 1 on the lease, right?
Yeah. So it was. So then I think people understand that chess is big here. It's really. It's well respected, and you can see it all the times in every kind of medias all over. So it's good.
Nice, and we'll get to the chess. But I heard a rumor that you worked in finance. I watched a stream of Simon Williams playing Blitz with you, and he said that you were a banker. So
yeah.
So how'd you get into that?
Well, in the ground, I'm actually a teacher, so language teacher. So that's one of my interests. And then I took some education, actually, Master of Science in Business Administration, because I'm actually an entrepreneurial guy. So I enjoy, startups and all this kind of ideas, investments, and I think it's very interesting. And so also marketing is something that I find also very interesting. So I think I have these 2 interests. This linguistic interest and the interest in I'm actually more an entrepreneurial guy than a pure number guy, if you want to label me or something like this, so then I've found that was the best education for learning, enough to be able to work in the industry and with investments and or marketing and also to be able to do all this entrepreneurial stuff, and I also have some good knowledge about accounting and this kind of things that you need to be able to take the best decisions. Okay. So yeah, that's how I got into it. I basically followed my interest, you can say.
Good.
Because I find those areas very interesting, and. I enjoy it, so that's how I see it.
Lucky guy to find something that you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's most important.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're gonna spend so much hours working. So if you don't enjoy what you're doing, and then I think it's terrible, actually.
Yeah. So
and I think you can't keep up the motivation also to do it if you really are against it or you're not enjoying it.
Yeah. So what's your day-to-day work life like? Like, what do you do on a given day for your company?
Well, most of the things I'm doing, it's some marketing also, as I'm like responsible for the marketing. But it's a lot actually about expressing my own opinions.
Okay.
So I enjoy my life.
Nice.
My job, because it's like I'm very creative. So as I like, I check some campaigns and come with some ideas of how it can be better done, and then it's a lot about investments.
Okay. Do you want to say the name of the company or?
Yeah. I mean it's Chesobé. So it's a big bank, and I'm working also together with some GS consulting. So it's like a mix. Okay,
and you're basically strategy type, like trying to grow the business and promote it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm promoting it, So this is a lot of marketing and private equity, and this like customer meetings.
Okay, and.
So I enjoy it, so it's a lot of investments.
Nice.
And this negotiations and talking, and these things that I like to do.
A lot of travel, or do you mostly stay in Prague?
Also a lot of traveling, yes.
Okay. Where has it taken you?
It has taken me all over the world.
I mean, I know chess has too, so.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm basically usually traveling a lot.
Racking up the frequent flyer miles.
Yeah. I don't have. I'm not even close to some of my friends, I would say. So there's not that much traveling yet.
Okay.
But of course, I have quite a lot of miles and so on, because when I'm not going with work, then I'm going with chess.
Nice.
So it's always something, yeah.
Yeah. So you do manage to stay active for chess?
Yeah. I don't play that much anymore, which is the bad part, you can say.
Right.
Because I used to play more, but the problem is that right now I don't have that much time to play.
Yeah.
Purely. And also I mean sometimes it can be also that when you have time, it's not the right tournaments around.
Right.
So it's. But basically now I play, usually the tournaments I play now is basically in Czech Republic, and I think it's probably the entire reason that it's the closest tournaments that I have now, and you have this Pardubice, for example, which is an excellent festival, which I'm really enjoying.
Nice. And do they have leagues in the Czech Republic?
Yeah. The Czech league is one of the stronger ones in Europe.
Okay.
It's a very good one.
Okay.
A lot of really strong players like Navarra, Ponomariov,
wow.
Movsesian, and many of the top guys are Grachev, Nayer. It's many strong players that are playing in Czech. Tomaszewski. Yeah, I mean, there's many of them. Many good players.
Those guys don't all live in the Czech Republic, do they?
No, but they live very well. Navarra and Lasnička and the Czechs, they do, and Movsesian also has been here for many years.
Okay.
And then there is also you have some guys that are coming here from nearby countries, like all these Polish top guys.
Right.
For example, they're coming, and we have some Germans playing, and some Russian people, of course, and from Ukraine and so on. So it's a mix of many good players, mainly from Eastern Europe.
Nice. Sounds like you're able to stay at least a little bit sharp chess-wise.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't been playing so many league games either, because I've been out of time. So last year I didn't play so much. But before that, I played a little bit more, of course. But I think maybe next season I will try to play again. But it's always the time,
Yeah. And
it's not so easy anymore.
Yeah. And Pontus, how old were you? Was there a moment where you decided to pursue what you're doing in terms of working as an economist instead of trying to play or teach chess professionally? Or like, how long have you been in the workforce?
Well, actually, I'm trying to combine it all. So I've been teaching online for some years, because I've been teaching chess almost all my life. So I started actually very early. So I had a group in Sweden. We have this preschool. It's like some sort of little bit more serious kindergarten, and it's like when you, before you are ready to start school, and then you're usually 6 years old of age, and then I started my first non-profit group. I started when I was actually going there.
Oh wow! Wow!
For the other 6-year-old.
How'd you know what a nonprofit was when you were 6?
Yeah. So that's how I started. So I started really early with the teaching.
Nice. Well, you were a bit of a prodigy, right? I mean, is that fair to say? I guess maybe you don't want to categorize it as that, but you were one of the top young players in Sweden.
Yeah. Of course, in the country, but you can't compare with Magnus or something like that.
Right. Okay.
It's different leagues.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he was extremely good very early.
Right.
And I was, yes, like good. But I wasn't like, not like Magnus, like world leading or something like this. I was never the best in my age category in the world or something like that.
But on a national scale, you were up there, right?
Yeah, on national scale, of course, I was the best in the country. But that's still some level up. I mean, I was top 10, in the world also. So back then, not rating wise, maybe all the time, but it was only because we didn't have FIDE tournaments. So I was always in top 10 when we were playing this world junior tournaments and so on.
Okay.
So basically I've been teaching chess since then.
Wow.
So it's many years now. It's that I've been teaching chess. So I have a lot of experience there, and I really enjoy it. So this I really like teaching. So that's why I took this teacher's examination and this teacher certificate in education first, because you never know when I will return to that. To teaching languages and maybe chess, only for living instead of all these investments and so on. But I enjoy all of it, So I'm trying to find a combination, and what I'm doing now to actually make sure that I get this. Eager to teach chess fulfilled still is that I have online teaching.
Okay.
So I don't have live teaching anymore at these groups. Only if some students, we can arrange some meeting. I had, like, for example, I have one very talented Dutch guy that came to me for last year's Pardubice, for example. So he was staying with me during the tournament. And then we were, of course, training and evaluating his games, preparing and so on. So that's also the live coaching and sometimes I do when I can meet some of my students, we can do some live coaching also, but mainly I do it online nowadays because the software is, as you know, very good.
Right.
So I have students all over, and many of them are very good, national champs in their country and so on. Nice.
Is it mostly kids or a mix or what?
It's a mix, I have some older students also, and that are. But for me, it's very important that the will is always there to improve. That's my main condition. They have to be a bit serious.
Yeah.
So I'm not like taking on any kind of students, because I find it. Since I'm not doing it for living, I don't. Want to earn some money on it or something like this, So I need to have someone who doesn't waste my time.
Okay.
That way, because I enjoy teaching, and the problem is that if you take someone who is not serious, and then there will be no improvement,
Right.
And then it's just a waste of time for me.
Yeah.
So therefore I that's my main criteria, that they are willing to put in the time to improve their play. They have to have the eagerness, and they have to have the time also, because it takes time to get better in chess.
Yeah.
You have to work on your weaknesses and strengths, and it takes time. You can't just have a class like 1 hour per week and expect that you're gonna, become Grandmaster. It doesn't work. The most important work has always needs to be done by the student themselves. As a teacher, as you can only point out the directions of what they should do and so on. But if they don't put in the hours and do it, then there's going to be no result.
Yeah. Is there an amount of time, like per week, where you think like if you can't put in 5 hours, don't even bother? Or like, is it 2 hours or 10 hours? Like, if I came to you and said, look, I want to get better, but I'm an adult, I work, I have kids, I can study 3 hours a week. Would you say, sorry, I can't teach you? Or would you feel like that's viable for you to try to help someone?
I think it's it depends on the person a bit, because if you're a quick learner, if you're a quick learner, then of course you can input less hours, Then someone else needs to have many more repetitions and so on. So it's very, very, very difficult question to answer. I don't think there is any universal answer.
No magic number.
No, I think it's very individual. But of course, for me, the most important thing is to do the right things. Because, for example, you can invest 10 hours per week, or you can invest 40 hours per week. But the one who's doing 10 hours, if they're doing the right things, and the one who's doing 40 hours is doing the wrong things, then this 10 hours will still be much better.
Okay, so what would be an example of the right thing? Like what might you prescribe for a student?
What I always do, for example, with my students is that I give them a development plan. So I always order in 20 or between 20 and 30 games that they have played, the last ones. And then I analyze them, so I check so as I can see, what is their strength and what is their weaknesses and what do we need to work on. And then if I find that someone is all the time constantly avoiding to exchange of the queens, then you can see that they are very weak in the end games usually.
Right.
And then we have to work on the end games, of course, because that's a sickness, to avoid queen exchange all the time, because you don't like end games. Then you can never play the best moves. Or someone else might be weak in openings, or they are playing the wrong openings. This is so common, that someone is just he's very positional, and then he's playing the dragon.
Right.
And suddenly he loses every game, and he doesn't really understand why, because the style doesn't match. So you have to have an opening repertoire that matches your personality, for example. And then, so this is what we're doing then is that, for example, we will spend a lot of time on teaching him the Carlsson or some other opening that will actually match the personality, because you can't really play if you're positional, you're a very strategical player. You can't play the dragon all the time or something King's Indian or some opening that is extremely sharp and expect that you're going to play it well, because it doesn't suit your nature. And that's exactly how I do it to get it to something that leads to development. And if you want some example of someone who's doing absolutely everything wrong, then it can be someone who's studying openings by using 4 books, for example, at the same. And if you don't have a very good memory, it's only going to make you totally confused.
Yeah.
So it's better to take like one book, then spend 10 hours on one book, learn those lines, play them, get some practice. Than to spend 40 hours on 4 different books recommending different moves, and you don't even know who to trust. You can't remember any single line after a while, and it's just a total mess.
Right.
We had, for example, I have one clear example of it. Was one guy in Sweden, a player. He was I didn't coach him, so I take no responsibility for what he did. But what he did was that he was always he was training 8 to 12 hours per day daily, so a lot of hours. And then what he did was he read these encyclopedias from page number 1 to final page, and it took him a long time before he finished all of them, of course.
Right.
And it's, for those who doesn't know it, it's gigantic books of what can it be, like 500-600 pages.
Yeah, I remember those, like the Endgame encyclopedias.
Yeah, and this was with the openings.
Okay.
So he read those, and it's like, it just moves, and evaluations. There is no text, nothing, It just moves and evaluation. And he read those 5 of them. And spent, I don't know, maybe he spent 2 years.
It's hard to think of a worse way to study chess.
Yeah. And, I mean, what happened? There, of course he didn't get better, because he was just totally confused. And, of course, this amount of information, if you don't have a very good memory and a structure, you can't remember it. So what happened when he came to the last page of the 5th volume, then he of course had forgotten, the other 4 volumes already.
Right, of course.
And like 70% of the 5th volume also. So what to do, Start over again, or what should you do?
Yeah.
So I mean, and this is of course a horrific example of how we shouldn't do it. But he invested so much time and had absolutely no effect. And of course he quit playing. And because he invested so much time and was, upset because he didn't get anything out from all the time invested.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think you have to do, the right things, And if you are doing the right things, you can actually, you can train less.
Okay. That's interesting. So you've been teaching chess the whole time. You've been playing when you can. But when did you get a first job outside of chess? A player of your caliber, I'm always interested in sort of the push and pull between staying within the chess world and working outside of it.
Yeah, I've been working all the time, actually. So I've been doing a bit like McShane, I think.
Okay. That's Luke McShane, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I've been working all the time. So before I was a teacher, and then I switched, but I've all the time been working. I had some good year, you can say, in 2004 there, when I was in Spain, when I was like finishing my studies and my teacher's degree, and then I was playing a lot of chess. So then you can say I was semi-professional because I was studying, in the weekend, but it was Spanish and I already knew
right.
it. So it was not, the hardest study in my life. So then I was spending a lot of time on chess and playing tournaments, because Spain back then was amazing chess country, absolutely amazing. It was tournaments all the time. It was good conditions. It was, chess culture, and you had like, I don't know how many opens they had parallel. I think they had like 20 of them parallelly over the country, and it's an amazing number of international tournaments at the same time. Oh. So it was amazing time, and as I heard it was even better before. Right. Like if you go back, to the 80s and so on, and the 90s, the other older grandmasters that used to play that back then, they told me it was much better then.
Huh.
So, and I still thought it was amazing in 2004, 2005 there, because it was great actually. Yes, just to every weekend you had tournaments, and you went to tournaments, and I was back then I was training a lot of chess. So I was very, very serious with my chess then. Because I was playing. I had exactly the right combination, you can say. Training and playing. And that's the years when I made my titles.
Right, you made them pretty quickly.
Yeah, I made them quickly, and it was thanks to that period. Because it's like I also had. I had some good mentor then in Evgeny Agrest, Swedish Grandmaster, very strong player, who also he taught me the small details from the Russian chess school,
Oh wow, the secret Russian chess school. Are you?
Yeah, it's a secret school that we non-Russian speaking guys never get any hold of.
Svidler told our listeners that it's a myth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. It's probably a myth, but you know the stories, always this threat is always strong and then it's execution.
Right.
so of course those guys, they love to have other people thinking that there is some secret.
Right.
Because then you get, chess is a very mental game, so many times many players are always a bit concerned when some player comes from Russia. Even if it's some amateur player, that you can see grandmasters that are still a bit scared. Because if it's Russia, it's always, you always assume that they know how to play.
Right, for sure.
Is also quite true. So, but I think they have, because what they have there is that they have a serious structure around chess. You have university educations and that contains chess. So they have like a structure. I mean, you can do chess as your university degree. Yeah. Which is so they always have a structure on how they do everything, and then they are very serious and they have the knowledge inside the country. So they have the GMs, that can give you the training and everything like this. So I think it's an excellent. It's really an excellent school to go, for chess and so on. And I notice, that they know some stuff that are. I can tell you some of the things, for example, that I was taught then. It's like they had like some different positions, like if you have the pawn here and here and here, then all these endgames wins,
Right.
Like there's one position, for example, with white pawns on g6, f5, and h5, and black pawns on f6, g7, and h6. And just like this, I remember that Evgeny told me, like, every endgame, no matter what configuration, if it's a knight endgame, pawn endgame, whatever it is, you always win it.
Wow.
He said like this, maybe not pawn endgame, but every other configuration apart from pawn endgame wins. And this kind of knowledge, it's something that at least I had never encountered before. This way of like classifying positions, like really, really serious, and many things like with the mental things around chess also, that for example, if you can see a pawn, that you can take a pawn, and you can't really find out why you can't take it, just take it.
Right.
Because the rest of the time you guys gonna sit there and wondering, and it's just actually that you are revealing your own doubts, It's not that you are thinking about the position the rest of the time.
Right. Yeah.
So they have many of these kind of practical advices that are for me at least, it was really beneficial, to get. And it's small things, me and Evgeny, we didn't train much together at all, but the hours, that we spent, the few hours that we spent together, they were really beneficial for me. I could really see that I learned and picked up these kind of things into my games. It could be small things like this, really, nice. Really small things, but there was the last things that I needed, because I was already a strong player, but this was the last things I needed to get to the titles,
Nice. Well, that's pretty cool advice, and it gives us a little look at a different perspective on the Russian school. So thanks for sharing that.
This with the pawns is very important. It's like because so many players are having this doubt. I can see it a lot of time with my students. That they are so scared, about someone who's 200 points higher rated, so they don't dare to take the free pawn that he has blundered away.
Right.
And then, of course, then you always get, as teacher, you always get slightly annoyed,
Right.
Because that we have talked about this before. I have told them the rule, and they still don't dare to take it. But this is subconscious many times, People don't yeah, the chess is a very mental sport, you know. So people they feel fear.
Yeah. Just another sort of random practical advice question. Are you someone that struggles? I know you're renowned to be a good blitz player. Do you get in time trouble in slower games, or has that not been an issue for you?
Yeah, I always get in time trouble. I think I'm more famous for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So so let's dig into the psychology. How do you try to address that, or do you just live with it, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I've been living with it. There's another thing that I've been living within my whole life, you know. So if I would ever write some memoirs, it's probably going to be a life in time trouble. It's
so I'm asking the wrong guy for advice.
Yeah, actually, if I manage to find some advice, I'll call you again.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, we'll hit that on the follow-up. That's funny.
Yeah, no, I think I'm better in giving advices actually than I'm in following them by myself.
Well, like any good teacher.
So I usually I think I'm quite lazy at the board, you know. So I usually take my time.
Okay.
And then I like to you know, consider things and find some solution. And in chess, if you want to be practical, you should just make a move many times, you know. Just go on your intuition and make a move. You know? That's what the top guys are doing all the time. They are not wasting so much time on some move. If they are wasting a lot of time, then it's usually some really problematic move.
Yep.
Or they have problems basically. So they need to find some move that doesn't lose it directly. But otherwise, then you hardly see them spending a lot of time. And then they are so well prepared nowadays. So you can see that they're usually blitzing out the first 20 moves.
Yeah.
It goes very quick. And that gives them a lot of time for the rest of the game. It's basically, nowadays, it's only more or less Grishuk that has time problems.
Yeah, that's true.
The other ones are very good with their time management usually. Grishuk is usually quite bad with the time management, but he is extremely strong.
Yeah.
So he usually solves it. If you are really strong, you can solve a lot of these problems, you know. Because sometimes a player like Grishuk, for example, okay, now with the top guys they know how to use it, you know. If someone is in time trouble, but if he plays against some weaker players, they can think that, okay, he's never going to manage this time. And that can actually make many players more nervous, even though they have like 1 hour left or 40 minutes or whatever they have. They can be more nervous than the one who is in time trouble. I have noticed this many times, you know, that some players, they just blunder absolutely everything when their opponent is in time trouble. And so I think you can save many positions, but you can also you lose more on it, of course, because when you play against people that knows how to use it, then it's terrible to be in time trouble.
Yeah, it can be a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, it's very, very tough, and basically you can say that the key. I don't know why I'm revealing this.
Listen up, listeners. Here we go.
Yeah, but the key is that to mix it, you know, because the most tricky moves is of course the moves that doesn't do anything. You know? Yeah. The forced lines is the easiest.
Right.
Because if people that are usually in time travel, they are usually used to be in time travel, so they are usually fast calculators. So they see stuff fast, and then the easiest thing is to calculate lines. So, for example, if someone is playing forced lines, then it's easy to calculate. But the worst moves are like A3, H3. You know, these moves that maybe improves the position slightly and doesn't do much. Because then you have maybe 3 or 4 alternatives that looks equal, and you have to decide on 30 seconds which one to select, and you don't have time to take a good decision there. And then it can even be a 5th move that you play that is terrible. Or it's like, those moves are the worst always to face.
Nice. Yeah, I like that advice. goes against human nature, which is why it's a good secret.
Yeah, it is. Okay, now it's not a secret anymore. So some Grandmaster was dumb enough to reveal it.
Don't worry, we don't have all that many listeners.
Just what do we say? Cut.
Yeah, exactly. Funny. All right, so I want to fast forward a little bit. So you got your titles in Spain. You got your GM title in 2007, right? And were you still in school then?
No. In 2007, I was working. I was working.
So already in finance, or were you teaching then, or what?
No, then I was teaching.
Okay.
I was teaching. I was done with my school after 2004. So 2005 and 6 and 7 and so on, I was working.
Okay. And when did you make a conscious decision to sort of downscale from chess playing, or did it just kind of happen because of work?
Yeah, I would say it has been, it's like a life cycle. It has been, first I was playing when I was a kid and so on, and growing up and so on, I was playing all these world championships and so on, but we didn't have much tournaments in Sweden, which was a problem. Federated tournaments, we had might sound ridiculous now, but we only had 2-3 per year.
Wow.
It was totally ridiculous back then. So my rating was always very low, but I was earning 50 points per tournament.
Right.
Because everything was different there. The K was also different back then. So it was you earned less points than you are doing now. And we had, like I said, we had the Swedish Championship and then we had this Rilton Cup, and there was those 2 tournaments that were federated. And nothing else was federated. So then I was playing these Swedish local tournaments, of course, and Nordic championships and this kind of stuff, but nothing was federated. And then as a kid, I played a lot of those tournaments, and then I got into when I was around 20s and so on, and I don't know, I think I got tired of this, that there was never any federated tournament. So I didn't play much. I was playing one tournament each half year with the federated ones. And then I was working as a teacher, and then I was losing. I was losing 5 points per tournament, you can say. So I had one and a half year, almost 2 years, where I was losing 5 points per tournament. But since I didn't play much, it was not so much effect anyway.
Right.
Because there was not so many tournaments. So then I decided, okay, now I have to activate myself. I can't continue like this, because it doesn't make sense. Because I wasn't working so much with my chess, and mostly I was rusty, when I was playing. Because if you have a half year between the tournaments, you get really rusty. So I was very rusty, and then I said, okay, now I have to activate myself. And then I was, back then I was moving to Spain with education and so on, and then it was perfect timing. So then I started to activate myself, and I was training a lot of chess and playing and so on. And it was going very well, and I got my titles. And then after that, I once again stopped playing. You can say not so much. I was playing, but I was working, but I was still not playing so much after that. And then I once again started to play a little bit. Started to play all these Olympiads, European championships, and all this kind of tournaments and so on. But because teaching, I think if you want to have a lot of vacation, I think there is no better profession than teaching, because there is a lot of vacation involved in teaching also.
Yeah.
So I think it's an excellent profession to combine with chess. It is probably the best, apart from being sole trader or something like that.
Right. That's a good point.
So then I started to play a little bit less than when I went into finance, and now it has got much less. You can say so. So now I'm not playing much at all, actually. But I think it's also natural, because when you're getting older, you are older than me, so you probably did the trip already. That you suddenly get less and less and less time, and it's like some kind of life cycle there. When you are like kids, you have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Then you come teenage years, you still have quite a lot of time, but less. And then you start to study, work, and less and less. Then when you're like me now in 30, in the 30s, then
you're depressing me, Pontus. Stop.
Suddenly you don't know what happened, but there's no time.
Yeah, exactly. So, laying on your deathbed.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say it. You said it.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I definitely understand.
So I don't know really what happened, but I'm trying to somehow I have some big idea of someday I will get my time back, because I have a lot of chess books, for example. Yeah. I have a big collection of chess books, but I don't buy them anymore much at all, because for the simple reason that I'm not reading them.
Yeah, so much easier to buy them than to read them.
Yeah, exactly. But I can see a big difference in all my books. For example, that I had like 2004. Like some dragon books or something like this. They are totally worn out.
Right.
You can't use them. The pages are like, and they're like this. Winning with the Dragon by Chris Ward and this kind of stuff. It's like the pages are like they're not. It's not even a book anymore.
Right.
But nowadays I see the totally different. With the books now, they are still in this. It's plastic.
Right. Still in the box. Yeah.
Exactly. So I have realized that it's no point anymore to buy them. But,
right.
But I have a huge collection of chess books. So I still have some brilliant idea that someday I will be able to read at least some of them. But if I actually make some pure financial calculation on it, I would realize that there's not enough time.
Right.
I think I have such a big collection now, so I will not even be able to read them all. Yeah. It's probably going to take me, 25 years or something like this.
Yeah.
So, but at least I would be happy if I could read 10 of them, because I'm sure it would make me a better player. But
is there one book on your shelf that you're most eager to read?
No, I would say there's so many of them. I have always said that I'm going to read this Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual.
Yeah, that comes up a lot on this podcast.
Yeah, I still haven't read it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And there is so many of them. I think there is. There is many good books, and the good thing is that, for example, I'm using one, Secrets of Modern Chess Strategy, that I'm using by John Watson. Mm-hmm. It's excellent book.
Yeah.
I have to give a lot of credit to John. Excellent book, really, really fantastic book. And that one I'm using a lot in my education. So when I'm teaching others, I'm coaching others. So the good thing with that one is that I know the chapters nowadays in and out.
Right.
I know everything, a page number, everything, because it's I've been using it so much. So that is also some kind of training, probably.
Yeah.
Even if it's not my level, really. So it's not really what I need, but it's still some kind of keeping up with chess at some in some way. But I would I think nowadays the books that are produced are also better. I see many of these books that are coming out by Smirin, and I mean Gelfand is writing. It's that kind of players didn't write books before.
Yeah, I also feel like Grandmaster switched to sort of they take more of a macro approach now.
Coaching. Many people are switched totally into coaching. They hardly play anymore.
Yeah,
they are giving lessons online, live lessons, have camps, and many has also switched to writing books. So it's a more business approach, you can say.
Yeah,
and then simply this romantic, playing. And I'm also interested in this because I think chess is, you probably have brought this up on your podcast all the time, with chess and business, the connection. And I think that it's really helping, you know. I really praise my chess career, you know, because I think it's those two together, they're strengthening each other. Because when you're doing negotiations, for example, it's the same as chess, you know. You're like trying to find a solution,
right?
And you are like projecting, you know, if we do it like that, what will happen? And it's the same as this calculation, the visualization, and also this when you have like some idea, you know, all this entrepreneurship. When you have some idea, you are trying to visualize what will happen if we do it like that, you know, if we build this app and all these kind of things. And I think that there is a lot of things to learn if you put like your kids in chess school for like 1 to 2 years. It's something that is very, very good for them, because they get this concentration abilities and also this that you can see steps ahead, you know? Yeah. And also the network. I think people speak so much about the network, you know, because you since you share some interest with a lot of people around in the world, you get very good contact directly when you bump into these people in some business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Has it ever been a benefit to you?
Extreme benefit, you know. It has been many times. For example, I've been handpicked to some good job positions, you know, like business director, for example, head of business. You know, I've been also a marketing manager. I've been handpicked by people that have been in good positions. You know, they've been chairmen of the board or owners of a company or CEOs and chess interested. Okay. And then they have recognized me. Like, for example, one guy came up to me in when I was traveling back from Hong Kong, because I was working in China for a couple of years. And then, so I was living in China for a couple of years. Wow. And then I bumped into one chairman of the board, and he offered me a position. You know? So it has been many, and he has came to me like, oh, Grandmaster Carlsson, and I hadn't never met the guy before, and it was only because he recognized me from because he's usually a big fan, so he was been following my games, and when I beat Wojciech, for example, he had seen that game, and it's so that's how it works.
Wow.
It's and also when you meet people that are chess interested, you have a totally different relation from the start. You know, this skepticism, you know, like, it can be very present, especially when you're doing some financial stuff. Mm-hmm. It's never between chess players. You know, I can't really explain it. It's like you already are approved. You know?
Right.
You have that stamp already. You know. So because people usually know someone that knows you, or you might even have played a game, like against each other, or you have played some of their friends, or they have seen you live at some tournament, or there's so much benefits, I will tell you, from that one. And we have in Sweden, we have a very good association called the Swedish Chess Academy, which is a group of chess interested guys, sponsors. And prominent people and celebrities from the Swedish trade industry and basic celebrities also, and all of them they like chess, so that's the common ground. And then they're usually into finance or they're top lawyers or some kind of business, you know, business angels or venture capitalists and so on. And many of them are extremely successful, of course. I mean, multi-billionaires and very, very wealthy people also, some of them. And the thing that is a common ground there is that everyone likes chess. And everyone, we speak about this a lot, always praise the chess background. And they always say the same things. They wish they could play more.
Right, exactly.
because time is time. It eats up time.
Well, if they're billionaires, they can play more.
Yeah.
Someone's got to tell them. They're the ones who can.
But, they have to retire.
Yeah.
This is the difficult move,
Yeah, for sure.
To retire, because they still usually sit as some CEOs or vice CEOs or something else.
Yeah,
but of course, some of them are business angels, and they are they're playing more, of course, than the other guys that are still active.
Nice.
But it's everyone likes chess. It's a very fascinating sport, and I think that that's something that you can't praise enough. This connection between business and chess, and the network. Really, the network you get. It can help you a lot, because within our community, this Swedish Chess Academy, for example, there is a lot of business that is being made also. A lot of business, I mean, that someone needs a lawyer, of course, they take someone from this group. Or if someone needs some accountant, or some specialist in some taxation specialist or whatever, we always take it in the group.
Right.
And there's always, or you use, for example, someone in the group will give you tips on some good tax lawyer or something else, that you need. So there's always help to get inside the group, and that's something that I think is a really good idea. This creation, and it really shows the power, in chess.
Yeah, it sounds like something that other countries should be replicating.
Yeah, it is. I think it's an excellent thing that we are doing there, and I really enjoy it. And then what I also think is this with online coaching. I think it's also something that is. I really see it that coaching in schools and online coaching and so on, it's something that many people with a little bit more business approach have started to switch to, because it's like in the States, for example, it's something that is going very well, and it's also something that is doing a lot of good things for the society.
Yeah,
which is a very good thing to combine, because it's always. If you have some moral, because some people don't have any moral at all, but if you have some kind of moral, yeah, exactly. If you are a human being with the moral, so the other ones you can stop listening now.
Yeah.
In that case, it's perfect to have something that, to create a company around something that is actually helping people. Because it gives energy if you have moral.
Yeah.
To know that you are doing a good thing.
Yeah.
Which also will make you invest more hours in your company and can develop it so it gets bigger. And I think, for example, that online coaching in the US is a extremely big business. It's many players that are doing it and all over the country.
Yeah, it's big and getting bigger, I think.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to expand also my own chess academy into the US a little bit more, because I haven't been that much present. I have had some students over there, but I will do it because I think it's a lot of interest over there. I get a lot of proposals and people that are interested in lectures all the time. So I'm going to start some group lessons.
Cool. Yeah, well, I know you've got some fans over here. I've read up a lot on your background on the chess drum, and I know that they've been supportive of you and covered your career for like 15 years. So, I think you could do well here.
Yeah, the thing is that I haven't been much in US, because US is a lot like this, that you have to be very present. It's like, and I haven't been. For example, you can see Maurice Ashley, for example. He's a good friend of mine, and he's of course he's 20 years older than me. So there's some a little bit more probably even if he doesn't want to admit it. But there's still some difference between us.
Right.
But he, for example, he's an American also, but he has been present, for a long time. And this is the thing, that he's always been present there, I have never been present, for example, in the US, because I've only been playing there one time, this Millionaire tournament that I played last year. It was an excellent tournament also, arranged by Maurice and Emily.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then I think US has different conditions, It's also the business tempo is totally different. Of course, the states have also, because you have so many countries in one country, you can say. So it's,
for sure.
Conditions are so different over there, and if you go into New York and so on, the big financial cities, and it's also everything is just different how it's done, Sweden is, for example, a very modest country, We have something called the law of Jante, which means that you should never think that you are something. And that, for example, is very, very present in the Swedish society. So when there is someone who's good in some sports, then people usually say, okay, come on, guy, you are not that good.
Right.
Don't think you are something. Which does that usually the Swedish athletes, when they are when they have done something, they usually more or less apologize for it. I'm sorry, I won World Championship. I will not do it next year. It's just ridiculous, honestly.
Right.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But US is totally different style.
Yeah,
so
we definitely don't have that mentality here.
No, exactly. And I think it's for sports. It's just good. It's just positive.
Yeah.
And in many things it's just positive, because people, you need to have the mentality to believe that you can do stuff. Yeah. And if you don't have this, then you can't do it also. So there, for example, in US, if you have someone who's finished 5th and you have someone who is 1, if the person doesn't have this personality that they take space, then the people will praise the one who came 5th better more.
Right.
If they are higher, So it always creates a kind of society where people always have to, you always have to stand your ground. You have to take your place, which is a bit different, both business-wise. For example, if you're going to enter the American market, it's different. It's a big difference. And also from a marketing professional perspective, for example, it's totally different how you do the marketing in the US and how you do it in Sweden, for example. In Sweden, for example, if you come in some Porsche or something like this, then people would say, okay, this guy is fucking arrogant.
Right.
Excuse me for cursing.
No worries.
I just want to state a clear example how they see it, and then they will never, take any of those products that guy is selling, or whatever he's doing. And if it's in China, and you don't have a Porsche, it means that your stuff is not selling so good. So
right.
So therefore, if you don't have this Porsche, you are not persona non grata. You're nothing.
Right.
Just get out of here. and in US, it's like you can have. Basically, you can have any car. You just scream, that your car is a Porsche, and then it will work. So it's just totally different, and I find it fascinating actually. For me, for example, I have to be. I want to be more present in the US. So I think I will enter the American market a little bit more with this, and because I see a lot of chess interest and a lot of players that I can actually do something for, because it's I have a little bit different approach because I've seen that the culture is very different many times. That, for example, you still have these tournaments where you bring your own chess sets and
right.
and it's like and I remember this delay time, for example, when I played now in the Millionaire, it was very difficult for me to adapt. It felt like I was playing, usually before when I was playing soccer.
Uh-huh.
It felt like, okay, I have never had problems actually when you play away. But it felt a little bit like this, that you are going to some grass that you are not entirely 100% used to,
Right.
because it was this feeling with the delay time, and it felt like, because I never get this feeling in chess, that you are playing somewhere, where it feels like uncomfortable or so on. But I got it there, with this delay time. Not the rest of the arrangement. It was perfect. It was really good. But the delay time was not. I was not used to it.
Right.
So I sense that there's these things also. You can notice it, the culture differences. For example, with how the classes works, because people usually want short-term results. Like you have a lot of tutors that are advertising for classes per hour, So I always get these questions: how much do you charge per hour, But I don't have this approach, because I don't charge per hour. I have it. For example, I give long-term classes, So it's like monthly basis,
right?
Because I don't believe that you can ever become better in one class,
Right.
Like I see this. They have some tournaments, and then they ask me, can I take 2 classes or 1 class, And then I answer that okay, you can, but then I recommend usually some other teacher that I know is giving this, but not so you can take it from him, but not from me, because I don't give it, because I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I think it is a waste of money, honestly, because it can help a little bit to inspire someone sometimes before a big tournament or something, but you can't get better in 1 hour, I mean, right. There is no trainer on earth that can make someone better in 1 hour. It's like it takes long-term training. You have to work on your weaknesses and your strengths, to strengthen your strengths and to remove your weaknesses. And you can't do that in 1 hour. It's just impossible.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, Pontus, I know you have a meeting to get to, so we'll try to wrap this.
Yeah, the guy actually texted me that he will be 15 minutes late, so it's
cool. If you have a little more time, that's great, because there's so many things I want to talk about. I mean, could you tell us a little bit about your time in China?
Yeah, in China, yeah, of course. What do you want to know? Yeah, it's.
Well, let's start with the chess culture. Did you play there?
In China, I didn't play, actually. They have a chess league that is very strange league, because it's very, very strong. The top players are the best Chinese players, all these Bu Ding, Wang Hao, Yi Yangi, and it's many strong players, and they usually bring also the very good Russians who are coming there. And so it's extremely good players, and then they have Chinese upcoming people, so talented juniors and also sometimes some sponsors that are playing.
Okay.
But the funny thing there is that they don't have. There's not so many lower rated players in China, Almost none. If you look at their FIDE rating list, there's almost nothing. It's like you have 27, 27, 27, 27, and then some 26, some 25, couple of 24, maybe it's a few 23, the upgoing ones, 23, 22, and then nothing. Absolutely nothing after that. I mean, you have hardly any lower rated players than 2,000.
So do they also lack FIDE tournaments, or what's the reason for it?
The reason is that in China, you never, since the competition is so fierce, you never do something where you are average or where you are not top. Then you should spend your time, at something else, somewhere you can become top.
But how do they get to 2,200? Like, how do they get to even the bottom of that ladder? Talent and training.
Okay. So they because their competition there is extremely fierce. They have these camps where they are fighting against each other, and it's really they're training a lot of time and because it works usually like this, that the teams and the camps, they come and to the families, and they offer them usually some salary, monthly salary or something. And then the kids, they live at these camps and they train there, they work there with everything, with the chess. And it's very hard training. And then, usually if you have talent, you work that hard, you become good, usually. That's what happens. And they do the same style in most sports. So chess is not unique or something like this. They do it the same. And that's why when you have this population amount, you become good for sure. It's very tough, very, very tough way of, and it knocks many people out, of course, on the way. But the best ones, they become extremely good. That's just how it is. They become extremely good. And so I didn't play, much. Just some friendly games, and this kind of stuff there. But I didn't play any tournaments or anything like this, no.
Okay.
But I was working a lot, actually.
Okay.
But and if you wonder about the life, and then it's very different, I can say, from Europe. Very, very different how it works and so on.
And if you don't,
very, very interesting.
And if you don't mind my asking, like, what was it like being a black guy in China? You must have stood out a bit there.
Not really. It's like so many people over there, It's like I was living in Ningbo first, and then I was living in Guangzhou after. And I speak Chinese also.
Okay, wow.
So it was not. It of course helps. And it's more or less necessary, I would say, if you want.
And did you speak Chinese before you went there?
No.
Okay. How hard was it to pick it up?
It's very hard.
Yeah.
Of course. It's very, very hard. But I think Czech is probably even more difficult almost.
Wow.
I think I've been doing the most difficult ones. I probably have Arabic and Russian left or something like this.
Man.
But I think those languages have been very difficult. But if I'm gonna go back to the being black over there, I don't think it was something that special. Of course, with 1.3 billion people, I didn't experience much problems at all. Much less than I do in Europe, for example.
Okay, I know you. I read an interview where you mentioned that you had a lot of trouble in Sweden. Encountered a lot of racism.
Yeah. It's actually, it can be terrible sometimes in Europe. It's like Sweden is one of the worst places because it's the reputation of Sweden is very good. So
right.
People don't even think it's possible over there. So there's like some kind of national negation of the problem.
Right.
And that can be quite frustrating, actually, for people that are experiencing it all the time. You're not like that happy when you have been accused wrongfully for rape, and I'm probably happy that I don't live in US because then I could also get convicted for it.
Oh man, yeah, don't get me started.
It's like it happens.
Not convicted, just shot, unfortunately.
Yeah. The problem is that your penalties are tougher.
Yeah.
So it's Sweden. You can get the same problems, but I don't get killed or a death penalty or something like this.
Yeah.
So it's you have tougher law system, And the punishment is always much tougher. But it's in Sweden when you are saying this to someone, like for example they like this case when I got accused of rape when I wasn't even close to the situation.
Right.
I had absolutely nothing to with this to do, I was not even close to that woman that claimed that she had been raped. I just came to a public place, and it was like a garden party, and then after a while, the police and so on came to me and said, "Okay, you are come with us," and this kind of stuff, and I had absolutely nothing to do, with this woman that claimed that she was raped. And the thing was that they confused me with another black guy. And so I was like accused for this rape, when I wasn't even close to the situation at all. You know, I never met this woman at all, and then it's you know, this kind of things is very difficult sometimes to handle. When you get accused for this kind of serious crimes, when you haven't been even close to the situation. And my brother was even worse, because he's a soccer player and he was away playing a soccer cup in Denmark, and then he was accused for the same stuff, you know, rape.
Wow.
He wasn't even in the country, you know.
Yeah.
And for us, you know, because we didn't take it, he's also a different personality, so he didn't even take it serious. So he said, okay, I don't give a fuck, you know, I'm not coming in there to the court, you know. And then he was almost convicted, you know.
Wow, that's terrifying.
But, yeah, it's terrible, but it's just terrible. But it's how it sometimes works in Sweden. And the thing is that since there's a kind of national denial, the problem is, you know, they don't do anything to the problem. And for me, I would say it's worse in Sweden than it is in China, for sure, 100% sure. In China, you know, I was respected, and of course, some funny episodes can happen that because in China they use these umbrellas. So they use umbrellas, and not to protect themselves from rain. They use it because they don't want to get dark, you know. Because to be dark-skinned in China is something bad. So I understand your question. Why you ask? But they see us as hopeless cases. They cannot be saved anyway. So there is no problem. You know? Wow. No, so then some because not all people are smart, so they definitely should play more chess, I think. Yeah. So some funny episode was that one guy came to me and offered me one umbrella, and he said like, yeah, you must use umbrellas, you know. And I looked at him and I was like, should I explain that, you know, the umbrella will not help me?
Right, it's too late. Yeah.
or should I just leave him, you know? Yeah. I made the evaluation that, okay, it's no point, you know. So right. I just thanked him, you know, thanks for the tips, you know. I'm sure I'm going to buy it, you know.
Right.
And so on. So it's these kind of things can happen, but it's because some people over there, it's such a big country, they really don't know anything, you know? Mm-hmm. They don't know that I'm not Chinese from the start, for example.
Okay. Huh.
So then they can assume that I need to you know, protect myself.
Right.
It's too funny. So I think this kind of things, it's honestly, I don't even get upset or anything, like. But it's worse in Sweden because then, you know, people, they know it. They just do it on purpose.
Right.
Which is more annoying. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also not, you know, now it sounds like Sweden is the worst country on the earth. It's also not. It's many good people, you know.
Right.
So it's like every country, you know. It's very. This kind of things is a bit tricky, but I think there is a weakness there, you know, that the country has not really, because many other countries in Europe, for example, they had colonies.
Right.
So they had to make up with their racist history, you know. Sweden didn't have much colonies at all, you know, just a couple of them. And they were not, you know, very violent either. So it's not the worst type of colonies. So I think the problem is that the country has never been forced to make up with the racist past, which is why people have this assumption that we cannot be racist at all. We are the most tolerant nation, and that's how it is.
Huh.
Then you get, this silence, racist stuff, and a lot of problems. But now, as you probably have seen, there is also a trend in Europe with a lot of racist parties are going extremely well in every election, more or less, you know. So which is sad, you know, because I think that people should be thinking about the history, you know, with Hitler and so on. It didn't go that well last time.
Yeah.
That when you voted for all these racist idiots, And I don't think it will go better that when you have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
So I think that people should be a little bit more concerned about it.
Yeah.
And think a little bit longer. This is exactly what you have. This long term versus short term perspective.
Right.
I think you have to think a little bit more long term, always. So it's and I think that if you want to make it simple, and say that all these people are bad, all these people are good, then I think that you should have to go to Mars or somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
The world is not so simple.
Yeah. Of course.
You can never generalize like that. It's just that. But for people want it easier, because then it's easier to have some relation to the world. If you say that all of them are bad and all of them are good, then it's easier, because then you have it classified, and if you see that kind of people, you have to avoid them, and if you see that kind of people, they're your friends, they're good, and that's easier, of course, but it's totally stupid, because you miss out on so many good people.
Yeah,
and So it's. I think racist is just terrible, and it's better to play chess and enjoy.
Yeah, and I know you've said you've had good experiences with race relations in chess. Is that do you still stand by that statement?
Yeah. I think it's great chess, because I think I have not been having so much problems. I mean, if I compare with outside the chess world, it has been, it's big difference. How it's much worse outside the chess world than inside the chess world. I have had very, very few incidents inside the chess world, and I think it's I think it really works, this FIDE stuff, that they are saying Gensuna Sumos, that we are one family. I think it really feels like this. I've been for many years, because Maurice retired. So I was the only black player on high level in every tournament, and no one said anything to me. Never, like this, something like this. I always felt respected, and it has never been an issue.
That's good to hear.
So I think it's chess community has been very good, But we also have to be clear that this was before social medias,
Right.
So I think it's worse now, because now you can see what people really are expressing,
Yeah, and that chess world, I think, still has some work to do in the sexism category. So
that can be terrible sometimes, and it's a reason why many female players quit playing.
Yeah, and
I think that's something that someone seriously has to do some science on, and try to figure out why most female players quit when they get to secondary school.
Yeah, it's a good question. Okay, well, I know you got to get out of here. So before you go, I know you're a hip hop fan. So can you tell us your top 5 rappers? Putting you on the spot here.
I will give you a top 1.
Okay, that works.
I actually am not. This is an interesting question, because I'm not a big fan of these N-words and blah 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 and so on, because I have a totally different approach actually. I think that if you are using this, it's very, very difficult to get people that are not of black race or something to understand why they shouldn't use it.
Right.
So I actually like Nas a lot.
Nice.
Because he's not using it, or very rarely,
Yeah.
So his lyrics are more thoughtful, It's more. You can see that he's really thought about it. It's not like showing some girls with no clothes and the 100 N words here and there and so on. It's not. His lyrics are different,
Yeah.
It's like a chess player, you can say. Chess player, and I like it, I like this. So that's top 1 for
yeah, he's in my top 5 for sure too. So nice.
Yeah, I like the guy.
Yeah, I've liked him since Illmatic came out. And
I think Eminem is also very good with the lyrics.
Yeah, he's very skilled. Yeah. Maybe not quite as good a role model, perhaps. But
So I think those guys are. That's what I like. I mean, when it's not like N words all over and so on.
Yeah.
And then many of the other ones, they have good beats, but I don't know. I get tired of this because I think it's the wrong idea, of if you want to have people stop saying these words, then I don't think it helps if you are like saying it yourself.
Yeah.
That's just my probably a bit different view than many others have, but it's just how I see it.
Okay. Cool. Well, Pontus, if our listeners want to reach you, is there a way that they can or should do that?
Yeah, of course. I'm on Facebook, but I'm also on Twitter, so you can follow me with GM Carlsson.
Okay.
So those are probably the best ways, and you can also go to my webpage.
Excellent.
Pontus.
Cool. I'll link to them in the episode description.
Yeah, it's very simple. PontusCarlsson.com. So it's so those are the best ways to contact me. And if they have some questions about chess and so on, just feel free to post them. Or if
awesome.
they want to add, and they should also look out for my group sessions that is going to come up in the autumn. So I'm gonna have a new approach there. Where I will have group sessions where I will pair people together in the same strength segment, more or less.
Excellent. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it, and you're such a interesting and multicultural guy. I mean, you speak so many languages. You've lived so many places. There's a lot more I could ask you, but I know that we're out of time. So thanks again for coming on, Pontus. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun, So maybe next time we will have some other discussions, and I will tell you some anecdotes.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I would love it. Also, it's fun.
Excellent. All right, we'll take care.
Keep on the good work. You too. Keep on the good work, man.
Thanks for listening to Perpetual Chess. To hear more episodes, give feedback, or suggest guests, go to perpetualchesspod.com. If you like the show, please help me out by telling your friends and giving me a high rating on iTunes. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Perpetual Chess Podcast.